And hello, and welcome to Raised by Horror. Raised by Horror is an inclusive podcast for grown-up latchkey kids of all genders and all orientations, whose proxy parenting was done by horror films and books. We are your hosts, Richard Kadri and Violet Blue. Check out raisedbyhorror.com for more info. In this episode, we're talking about what's new to streaming in horror movies and TV on Paramount, Shudder, Screambox, Hulu, Netflix, and a couple films hitting theaters that look intriguing to us. We'll also be talking about some upcoming horror books that also intrigue us. Hello, Richard.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Good. I'm excited to go over what's streaming here because there's some pretty cool stuff coming up.
I'm excited for some of this. A lot. Some I have questions about, but for the most part, I think it's some really, really nice material about
There's some good stuff. I also have complaints, so I'm excited to complain personally.
Good. Me too. I have some, I have some not quite complaints, but disappointments in some cases.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna start with Paramount. And I just have to get this out of the way with Paramount. Star Trek's Section 31 is coming out on January 24th. And I know that's not horror, but it could be. Like, maybe? I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. I mean, I'm just, Star Trek cosplayer nut. But some episodes of Star Trek have been kind of horror-like. So, like, there's a Strange New Worlds episode that was, like, really great horror. So... fingers crossed.
Oh, great. Fingers crossed for some horror.
Yes, always.
Always.
All right. Is there anything on Paramount that looks good to you? What do you think?
Well, there are 3, but they're old ones. And that's what's interesting and kind of puzzling at the same time. Maybe it's just stuff they pulled from their libraries. But
yeah.
That's probably what all of it is. I haven't actually looked up to see all the production on these films. But the first one I noticed was Paranormal Activity, which should be out already.
They have like all of them this month, right?
I believe so, except the mysterious Japanese one. No one has that. No one knows about that one either.
What's that one? I don't know anything about that one.
Yeah, it is. It's very hard to find.
Really?
It is a combination. It's sort of a Japanese. It was only for the Japanese market, so it's a combination of the first movie with a plot twist about halfway through that kind of throws it in a new direction. And
what?
It's
okay.
If you're a Paranormal Activity fan or completist or something, it's like I said, this is very hard to find. But I'd recommend seeing it if you can find a copy. It pops up on eBay sometimes. I forget where I got my
it's one
copy.
of those.
It's one of those things that this. I have a copy with kind of questionable subs, like they're not 100. They're not 100% in sync, but you can read. You can make your way through.
Okay. Of course, it's like they get all the Paranormal Activities, but then there's just that one super interesting rare one that they don't have.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
I mean, I actually kind of liked the first Paranormal Activity. Like the first time I watched it, like it actually scared me. So.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like I didn't know what to expect, and it kind of freaked me out. So props to that.
Absolutely, and I also love it. Like Blair Witch. Like Blair Witch is the #1 top budget to box office ratio movie ever, and Paranormal Activity is #2. It's made over $190 million on a budget of about 15,000.
Oh my fucking God, that's insane! What?
Yeah.
Wow. That's phenomenal. I mean, I hope that. I just don't want to know, like, I mean, I do and I don't want to know, like, I know that, like, the cast of Blair Witch got, like, completely screwed over, like, with money. Yes. Like, they basically got, like, fruit baskets or something like that.
Yeah.
Fruit baskets and, like, free tampons or something. And I'm just like, oh no, did the Paranormal Activity people end up with the same raw deal? Like that would really suck.
Well, I think the people, if I'm remembering correctly, and please in the comments correct me if I'm an idiot, the people who are in the movie maybe I think they made the movie, so they're integral. So I don't think they could be cut out of the money. So
Oh, good.
I think all the core people had to have a piece of this.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, please make sure those artists get paid.
Yeah,
Please.
absolutely.
Did you watch the Amish one?
Excuse me?
With the Paranormal Activity Amish one?
I have not seen that one.
Oh
Wow.
my
I'll have to
God,
look for
I
that.
did. I
Wow.
had to, because I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so weird and bad. And it was really, really bad. But
Wow.
it was like, I mean, I had to watch it because it was like basically Amish country, like Paranormal Activity. It was just like, yeah.
Well, now I'm going to have to watch it too. If I'd known about that earlier, I would have absolutely have seen that movie.
Oh my God. I mean, it's like when you told me about Jason in Space. I was like, what?
Yes.
I have to go now. I have to go find this film now.
Yep.
Stop everything.
Jason X, the dumbest Jason, therefore the best Jason.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Um Also, that reminds me that Paramount has Halloween Resurrection this month too,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool. I mean, if you want to go slashery. And it's got Paramount also has all the Crow movies.
Which, again, being snotty, it's like you can just watch the first. You don't need to. You can just forget it. Especially after seeing that the one they just did.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I'm so off all Crow sequels,
Oh,
reboots, the whole thing.
yeah, no. That film was self-harm. Like that was just
Yeah,
like it was so that was painful. But yeah, no, the
yeah,
first one is all you need and it holds up like all the
yes,
way. Like I
yes.
rewatched it when the newer one came out and I was like, "Oh my God, I forgot how good this film is." Like just
Mm-hmm.
good and just rich with character and story and yeah. Yeah, it's still a really fantastic film.
And if you like physical media, I suggest getting the Blu-ray of the first Crow because it's a great commentary by the director.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, talks a lot
Oh,
about how they got away with some of this. One of an offhanded comment he made is, "Look, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that if we had a bigger budget, the studio would have messed with us and they would have made us change. But because
yeah.
we were a little weird movie that no one cared about, we got to do all kinds of stuff and
Oh, fun.
not answer to anybody."
Oh, I love that. I love that. Oh, okay. I need to find that because I wanna watch and listen to the commentary.
It's worth it.
All right, and then there was that one film Paramount got that, but I mean, Paramount didn't really get much this month in terms of
No.
like horror that I would say is standout. I mean, there's a list of stuff, of course, like you could read down a long laundry list of catalog that they got, but the only other film that I think was worth a mention was Poltergeist, really. I mean, if you want to watch a retro film.
Right,
But
right. And I'm snotty about Poltergeist too. I mean,
are you?
I oh yeah, it is not a favorite. I think it's a very wildly uneven movie.
You just like it?
I'm not a fan, and it's part of it. Some of the effects are brilliant, and some of the effects are so terrible. And I understand it was a problem with, well, this is the time we want to do, practical effects at a time when the kind of practical effects they wanted to do were really hard. And it just, so much stuff knocked me out of that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh, that's too bad. Like the oozing steak and the Carolyn and like
Oh, I
swimming with
like
the
the,
skulls and all that stuff.
I liked anything to do with meat. I like this. I like the oozing meat. I like to not peeling your face off. I enjoyed both of those.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Um,
Big fan, big fan.
yeah. Meat, always a meat fan. But there was others again. Things flying around the room.
Yeah.
I understand that, but at the same time, they were trying to do an Exorcist thing, but at the same time, for me, it was like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh. See, I saw it when I was younger, and so it scared the crap out of me.
See,
And
I wonder if it's an age thing too.
it's
Absolutely.
gotta be. Oh, I know. You know what? I haven't. It's not like so. The Thing. I just recently rewatched The Thing, and it's so good. It still holds up. And I have a feeling that if I rewatched Poltergeist, I'd be like, oh wow, yeah, the portal to hell in the closet really scared me when I was a kid, but like now probably not so much. Or just, life is so awful right now that I'm like, portal to hell in the closet. That sounds amazing. How do I get through it?
That's right. You want an infomercial on your own portal to hell.
Exactly. I'm like, evil tree outside the window, please eat me.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So can I continue to be snotty about Poltergeist?
Please.
In its place, I would suggest watching an Argentinian movie called Terrified, that's on Shudder. It is Poltergeist is suburban horror, right?
Yeah.
Terrified is suburban horror in Argentina, but
it
is so much scarier. And again, it is an adult movie. If you saw Poltergeist when you were a kid, well, if you want to show Poltergeist to your kids, you're probably fine. Don't show Terrified to your kids.
Oh, is Terrified the one with the axe?
No, that's his other movie that I want to talk about for just a second.
Okay.
No, the Terrified is the one. There are strange events occurring in a neighborhood in Buenos Aires, and it opens with a terrifying scene of a woman not beating herself to death in a shower, but being moved.
Ooh.
To beat herself to death in the shower. It's a terrifying scene.
Wow.
And a doctor specializing in paranormal, her colleague and an ex-police officer decide to investigate what's going on. And it becomes this battle of, the people who believe in the paranormal versus the police officer who's strictly someone who thinks this is all nonsense. Battling out.
A straight guy.
Yeah, to the point where the police become integral in the horror of it all.
Wow, how have I not seen this film? This sounds so good.
It is terrific. The director is, and I can't pronounce his name. I'm gonna butcher this, and I apologize to everyone. Damien Runya. I'm not sure. But the film you just mentioned, When Evil Lurks.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another great one, also on Shudder. It's in a small village. Two brothers find a possessed man that they believe is about to essentially give birth to some evil life form. So they decide to get rid of the body.
Right.
And they just make everything a million times worse.
This is our no spoiler episode, so let's...
Yes, no, I'm just saying, I'm not going to say what happens, just they make things worse.
Oh my God, they make things so much worse. Like that film is so catastrophically fucked up and amazing, and is definitely one of the most pure horror films I've ever seen.
Yes.
Like mad respect for that film. It's wild. But it's like you put yourself through something when you watch it. It's one of those. Yes. For sure.
Yes, it's not a light watch.
But Terrifier, that's the other one?
Terrified.
Okay, because I have not seen that one, and that is definitely... I'm stoked, because if that's... So let's talk about Shudder, because it sounds like...
Actually, I have one more on Paramount.
Oh, you do? Oh, cool.
Yep, I have one more. Rosemary's Baby.
Like the original?
The original is on Paramount right now, and
oh my God,
it's a classic. A young couple moves into an old apartment building that at first seems to just be full of eccentric neighbors. It features a great cast of character actors, including Ruth Gordon as a especially, quote, helpful neighbor.
Ah, yes.
It stars
Look
Mia
out for
Farrow.
those.
Yes. It stars Mia Farrow and John Cassavetes. He's an actor who just might have sold his wife to the devil for a successful career.
Ah, as you do.
As you do, back in 1968. So it's full of themes of because it's 1968, women's liberation versus controlling women, toxic masculinity, and big city paranoia. Are your neighbors, is your neighborhood, is your life what you thought it was?
Yeah. Okay. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, so I'll definitely give that one a look, for sure.
Cool.
Oh my god, but there's a lot on Shudder. So
yes, there certainly is.
Il, which is the French,
yes.
like just the cornerstone of French extremist, right? Horror, or rather the beginning of it in many ways. Yeah. It was definitely my introduction to it. Il is French for them, and it's essentially, if you haven't seen it, it's an older film. It's sort of basically a home invasion film, and it is just absolutely. I started rewatching it again last night, and I forgot that there's just so much slow building tension of, you think that the film is at first about two women stranded on the side of the road, and then it turns into this couple in this beautiful French villa in the countryside, and things going horribly wrong where you can't tell if the home invasion is supernatural or not. And things just get weirder and weirder and weirder from there, turning into like this strange subterranean horror. If you are freaked out by French extremism or the idea of it, because it does tend to get really gory and horrific and sort of torture porny, Il is actually a really good one to watch and kind of like figure out what the genre is about, because it's not as insane or graphic as a lot of other ones, but it still holds the amount of tension that all of the French extremists, the good ones, have, for sure, about like, oh, life is not at all what I thought it was like, kind of a vibe. So that one, big props to that one. Do you mind if I keep going? I've got a couple.
Go for it. Okay,
Malum. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I know I have not. I've not seen that one. I've heard of it. I've not seen that one though.
It is fantastic. It's essentially really it's not like a super high budget, but it's really incredibly well executed and wonderfully acted. It's basically about a lady cop who, her father committed suicide in the police station, and he's basically thought of as like a cursed individual. And she decides to spend her first night shift in the station where he killed himself to prove something to herself. And it turns into this very complex story about him basically being like the hero that saved these girls that were in a cult. But that's not actually what happened. And she finds out through essentially like, it's got supernatural elements to it and cult elements to it. And it's an incredibly well told story. It's completely from her perspective. And it's one of those ones where you end up really liking the character so much that you're like, please don't let something happen to her. I mean,
right.
It's really good. It's well told. I couldn't completely tell where it was going, which is difficult for me because I'm always a second guesser. But Malum was quite good. It's highly recommended.
That's
for sure.
Terrific.
Yeah. And also, I mentioned The Thing earlier. That I did a rewatch of The Thing. That's on Shudder now too. So if you haven't seen it in a while, go rewatch it, because there were so many things about it that I had forgotten. Like, I'd forgotten that they'd gone on the alien ship and the whole thing. Like, there are just whole sections I forgot about. So, plus, especially if you learn any of the background about like the just absolute insanity of the production, like that, like a whole busload of crew basically went over like a snowbank, and a bunch of people were injured, and like all the practical effects, but also that the guy that did the practical effects basically disappeared after the film. Like, it's just bizarre. Like, he collapsed, like, from nerves, and then came back and worked on it for a while and then just disappeared. Like, it's almost like a cursed production, right?
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. Like, one of the actors, like, broke his arm, like, in the beginning of filming. So all of the rest of the film, like, you don't see one of his arms.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just
Well,
a lot of shit like that where you're like, they did not have a good time making that film.
Wow.
And it's just a beautiful piece of art. It's so wild.
Absolutely.
Let's see, what else is coming up on Shudder? We've got...
There's a very disturbing French film called Red Rooms.
Oh, what's that?
It's a model, a fashion model, Kellyanne, who becomes obsessed with a high-profile serial killer murder trial. She's also an obsessive gambler for high stakes on the dark web. She plays cards.
Okay.
Her increasing fascination with the case begins hurting her career, so she gambles more, trying to get more money, and starts, in her obsession, there is a missing video of a torture session that will answer all the questions. And she...
About the serial killer?
About the serial killer.
Oh.
And in her obsessive way, she goes looking for that video, and it kind of blows her life apart.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
It's really relentless, and it's really interesting psychologically, because I never got the feeling she's looking for justice. She's more obsessive than that. But I think what's interesting about her character is she just wants to put all the pieces together and win the way she obsesses about winning at cards.
Oh, interesting. I know people like that. I know hackers like that, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
And I put it up there in terms of like being disturbed by a protagonist. I put it up there with Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Oh, wow. That was an upsetting film.
That's an upsetting film, yes.
Oh my God. Wow. Well, on a lighter note, Werewolves Within is coming to Shudder on the 17th, which is really fun. You've seen that, right?
Yes.
Oh my God, how many times? I've seen it a couple of times.
I've just seen it once, but I really enjoyed it.
Oh, it's a blast. I love it. I love all the characters in it. Like, it's just dry horror comedy. It's really fun. And snow film. It's a good snow film too.
That's right.
Also, we've got Horror's Greatest. I saw on Shudder, like, they just restarted Horror's Greatest, like the second season of it. And I haven't watched the first two. The first two were, one was Animal Attacks, which I'm not going to watch because I try to stay away from animal harm. And the second one is about dating in horror films. And I'm like, not into dating right now, so I'm not going to watch that. Also, like, I don't need to personally revisit, like, bad dates, you know, and dates where I'm like, is this a serial killer? But they do have two coming up that look like they're going to be really fun. And one is entirely on film scores. And
that sounds
right,
great.
I know. And I don't know what all is going to be in that. It releases on the 21st of January. But I am so into that. And it's probably too late for them to include Nosferatu, but Nosferatu would have been an amazing addition to that.
Yes.
But yeah, film scores, I am so there for that episode. I'm looking forward to it. It reminds me of when I saw Black Sheep in the theater here for the Terrify Film Festival in Wellington, where when I saw Black Sheep on the big screen with, like, proper sound, I didn't realize that it was actually a scored film with actual musicians, like actual scoring, and it was really good. Because apparently when they made Black Sheep, there were a bunch of professional musicians here working on large name productions for Weta Studios, like, you know, Cameron and who knows, probably Lord of the Rings kind of stuff. And the musicians were, like, in between gigs. So it was a perfect opportunity for the music and the scoring of that film. Just like get these amazing musicians to score a horror film about, zombie sheep. Anyway, I totally digressed. But the other horror's greatest that's coming up that I'm looking forward to, because it's my thing right now. I'm super obsessed with space horror.
Yeah.
And they're doing a whole episode on space horror on the 28th at the end of this month. And I am just like, yes, just inject it directly into my veins, please. Like, give me all of the alien and craziness. I'm just like, yes. No one can hear you scream. I'm into it.
I love that. I'm definitely gonna watch that one.
Cool. Me too. Anything else on Shudder?
Yeah, I have two. Getaway, that's on the 10th.
Okay.
Stars Nick Frost, who's just always great. He, you've seen him in a lot of movies with Simon Pegg. Yep. Very funny British actor. But also can do drama. He's doing more of that now.
Oh, cool.
Getaway is about a family who goes on vacation to a remote island in Sweden that seems really idyllic and very, just what you want in a family vacation. Only there's a serial killer on the item.
Oh, nice.
But it's
always
not just
fun for your vacation. Get a little exercise on vacation.
Absolutely. But there's also touches of folk horror, which
cool.
Adds a
Love
little
folk horror.
Adds a little to it, and it should be good because the director Stephen Hars has worked with Frost before in a horror comedy called Crazy House, which is a kind of gory home invasion movie with a family destroying their own home, looking in a wild hunt for treasure. Oh
wow! Okay. I've never heard of this one.
I don't know if it got much of a release here. I'm going to have to, I'm trying to track it down myself. I'm not quite sure where it's streaming, if it's streaming in this country. I looked for it, but I couldn't find it right away in time for the show.
Okay. Yeah. I see that Getaway is streaming on Shudder in the US and Canada only as well.
Okay. And there's one more I want to talk about on the 24th is Grafted.
Yes. I'm interested in that one.
We're in a really new age of body horror here with films like Possessor, The Substance, Crimes of the Future, Titan.
Mm-hmm.
There's a young student, a scholarship student named Wei, who is jealous of her more popular cousin. And she begins to study her father's very advanced skin grafting research.
Which takes place in New Zealand, in Aotearoa, where I am.
Yes. And, she wants to be prettier. She wants to be more popular. And if skin grafting is what it's going to take. So it's directed by Sasha Rainbow, and this is her first horror film. So that could be really exciting. That's
going to be interesting. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I'm really interested to see what this is going to be. I'm not necessarily a big body horror person, but everything about this film looks completely intriguing. Just it has kind of almost a Cronenberg vibe to it, right? Definitely. Where it's just like people experimenting on themselves and just getting more dangerous and unhinged about it as they go along. So I'm looking forward to this one, and it's streaming on January 24th.
Yes.
I see that it's going to be available in the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and one other place. I can't tell. But yeah, so everyone should be able to see this one, which will be great.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if we talked about Shudder, we should talk about Screambox as well.
Yes.
Since these are the two heavy hitters for giving us the content we love, the content we need, all of the horror.
Yes.
And Screambox has some interesting stuff this month. Mm-hmm. They've got, I'll just dive right in. They've got, they're doing a giallo fest. And yes. I know you love giallo. I love giallo. Yes. Like, you and I want to do a whole episode on giallo. We also want to do a whole episode on new giallo. Yes. Because there's some really great stuff that's come out that you and I feel should be in a like a new wave giallo category, essentially. But the stuff that Screambox has, they've got 4 films that are coming out in sequence. They've got, let me see if I can find the titles here. Yes, Strip Nude for Your Killer is January 17th. The Fifth Chord and the Pajama Girl Case on January 24th. And What Have They Done to Your Daughters on January 31st. And I'm pretty excited because I haven't seen any of those. I mean, maybe Strip Nude for Your Killer, but I don't think so. Have you?
I've seen 3 of them, 3 of the 4, and they're all worth seeing.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're all classics in their own way.
Awesome. Oh my God. What do you have a favorite of those?
Strip Nude for Your Killer is a really good. I think it's a good place to start. How's that?
Okay, that's great because it's the first one that's up on the 17th. It's perfect.
I think it's a really good place to start, especially if you don't know giallo at all. It'll give you a really good feeling for it.
Cool. That's a good intro. And then also on Screambox, I see, so there's, it's a horror comedy and it's just dorky and it's absolutely one of my favorites. It is just, it's a solid hour at least of just dorky horror comedy, like just horror being fun for fun's sake. It's called Super Hot. And have you seen it, Richard?
I have not seen that one.
Oh my God, you're going to love it. Okay. It's so much fun. It's basically, it's about this really tall, dorky woman who works at a pizza place, kind of, and she kind of talks like this, and she's a total nerd, and she's got these nerdy, geeky friends, and she's got this crush on this girl who then joins a sorority. And she's like, oh, what am I going to do? And so she gets her 2 geeky friends together to try and like hatch a plan, basically to like, tell this girl how she feels. And then it turns out the sorority is actually vampires.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. And there's the whole like friend doesn't know it, or does she? And her the super dorky girl gets together with her friends, and they're just all these like awesome little Easter eggs and things in it that like appeal to us horror weirdos. Like one of the pizza delivery girl's besties, he's wearing a Nostromo shirt.
Nice.
Like just there are all these details like that, and like throughout the entire thing, and it's just a blast. It's like, this is people who completely had fun making a horror film for the love of telling these stories. Like most everyone in the entire film has the name of a horror author. Like it's just, it's a joy. It's a joyful film, and it's silly and fun. And I was so excited to see that it's on Screambox because I was like, yes, I have an excuse to watch this again.
Great.
Yes. Is there anything on Screambox you're into?
January 14th, Lily Lazarus.
Okay, what is that? I was trying to check that out. That looks interesting.
Yeah, it shades of Pet Sematary in this one, but with people. It's 1990, summer solstice. 2 people carry a corpse through the woods to a mythical place that they will believe will bring the dead back to life. Okay. The film explores the secrets and circumstances around Lizzie's death, but more so the price you pay for wanting too much from the dead. Ooh. And that's all I know. They haven't given out a ton of information on this, and it's like Grafted and Humane. I don't want to watch any trailers. I don't want to know too much. Yeah. I want to go into this one just kind of blissfully ignorant and see where it takes us. Okay, I'm into that. That's like my favorite way to approach movies and TV, period. Yeah. So yeah, this sounds really, really cool. I love the whole, like, I love just the premise too of just what
what are these people doing? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. And that's on the 14th?
That is on the 14th. Yes.
Awesome. Cool. And there's another one I saw on Screambox. I don't know if you've seen this one or not. It's called Wither.
Yes. I have in fact seen that. In fact, I saw it recently.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's basically like it's Swedish, right?
Yes.
It's the Swedish answer to Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually really gross. It's really gross. And I thought it was pretty fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
I it's been a minute, but like it was definitely the kind of thing where it had like the good performances, and
Yes.
it wasn't entirely like Evil Dead copycat kind of a thing either.
Right.
Where it was just like people trapped in a house and possession and spirits and people turning on each other. And because it was like, it's like, it didn't have the humor of Evil Dead.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't fault it for that, because so much about Evil Dead is just this construct of like, wow, if this was actually happening, like this would be a lot. Like people would be falling apart completely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely what happens with Wither. So if you're an Evil Dead fan, definitely see it. Like definitely watch it. But don't go into it with the same like horror comedy expectations. It's not splatstick. Like definitely not.
Right. It's a Scandi film, and the Scandis have their own way of doing things, right? You know what I mean? Like all the Scandi thrillers have a different feel to them than American,
and a different
films.
rhythm too,
Yes,
like a
exactly.
different storytelling rhythm and cadence. And I did notice that about this, where I was like, okay, Scandinavian horror is a lot like Scandinavian crime horror and crime stories, where it's just a different beat, you know?
Yeah.
Which I love, by the way. Like, I'm a huge Scandinavian horror fan, and yeah, I love Scandinavian crime stories, like all of it. So
I had a feeling. Yeah, I had a feeling you would really like Wither.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else on Screambox? Or should we go to Hulu?
Let's hop to Hulu.
All right, Hulu. Hulu, letting us down.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple. There's two for me on Hulu that I really like. January 7th. Excuse me. Stop Motion is a really interesting movie.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
A young woman named Ella is a stop motion animator, struggling to finish her new film after her very overbearing mother dies.
Okay.
She has hallucinations of her mother trying to take over the film as she's making it, constantly criticizing her, not letting her progress on the film.
Wow.
In the building where she sets up a studio, she forms a close but kind of odd relationship with a young woman in the building, and the young woman, unlike her overbearing mother, starts making suggestions, kind of helpful. Well, this is more scary than what you're doing. Suggestions. So the film Ella's making becomes much darker and much stranger.
Oh, wow.
And, but the real puzzle is, as Ella's moving her puppets around, as she gets deeper and deeper into the project, what is real? Who is real? How much of anything that's happening is her imagination or reality?
Uh-oh.
And the thing about it's not a great movie. I will tell you that. It is not a perfect movie. But
really? Okay.
It's one of those movies I keep thinking about. And that's why I give it a lot of points. I still think about that movie.
I feel that. I feel that. When you see a movie and you're like, it's good, but it's not perfect, but there are parts that stick with you.
Yes.
And if I'm going to fully confess here, like, I feel like The Substance was like that for me, where it's, for me, it wasn't, it's not one of my favorites. Like, it wasn't my jam, but there are definitely parts of it where I was like, this was a perfect shot, or this was an incredible scene. So yeah. And it's like, if people
Absolutely.
are like, should I see The Substance? And I'm like, yeah, you should. Like,
Yep.
I'm just, it's not, for me, it's not perfect. So I totally get this.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know a bunch of people in the comments are going to be like, why don't you like The Substance? So I know I've opened like a giant can of worms, but oh well. But hey, Demi got the Golden Globe.
Yep.
And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, just so long overdue. And I love that she's been doing horror lately. And I'm looking forward to more for sure. But
Definitely. I mean, the one thing I have criticisms of the film, but the performances are all amazing.
They're fucking amazing. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Anything else on Hulu?
Yes. Humane on January 28th.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I'm excited.
After an environmental collapse, humanity has decided it needs to reduce its population through an organization called the Department of Citizen Strategy, which is a government-run euthanasia program. The film is
government-run euthanasia program. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's one of those giant ideas that's told. It's a macro idea that's told in a micro way. So the film focuses on a family dinner where the father and one daughter named Dawn announced they volunteered for the program. However, Dawn changes her mind and runs away. But the government still wants its second body because they promised him two.
Oh, shit. Okay, that's cool. That's a cool twist.
Yeah. And it's from Caitlin Cronenberg. It's her first feature film. She is the daughter of David Cronenberg and the brother of Brandon Cronenberg, who's done Possessor, Infinity Pool, things like that. So I think between Caitlin and Brandon, we can say good things about Nepo babies, because sometimes they really do have the talent to do good work.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm excited about this one. This is going to be, and I'm just really interested too to see like what his kids are doing, like, because I'm just a Cronenberg fan, like forever. So yeah, so this is going to be fun. This is going to be good, and that's on the 28th on Hulu.
The 28th, yes.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's get disappointed with Netflix then.
As always.
Right? Oh my God. That Netflix has just abandoned every horror fan ever, right? Like, they don't even care about us. What the hell?
No, nothing.
Like, nothing. Like, nothing new. No new horror.
No new horror. All they have on the 15th is Hereditary.
Which, I mean...
a classic.
Fucking should be Oscar-winning film, but... but yeah, like nothing. I was like looking over the long list of stuff on Netflix that is coming to Netflix, and I was like, what? Like, the Walking Dead, Ones Who Live, and I'm like, that's... like, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've already watched it though. Like, come on, you guys. And, and yes, they're bringing back The Ritual and Autopsy of Jane Doe, which are phenomenal horror films. Like, both of them. Like,
definitely.
The Ritual. I read Adam Neville's The Ritual. Like, I read that book twice. It scared the crap out of me both times. Made me a huge fan of Adam Neville's. And then when the movie came out, I was like, oh God, I just was prepared to be let down. Right?
Yes, me too.
I was like, this is going to be another thing where they take something I love and they bum me out. And like, I watched the film and I was scared out of my wits, even though I knew what was going to happen. And I was just, and I watched it again and I was scared again. Like, it is such a good film. It's such a well-told story about, guys that go out on a hiking trip and they've got all of these complex background stories with each other that put them at conflict but make some of them closer, and they essentially end up getting lost in a set of woods that are cursed, I think. I'm trying to tell this in a way that doesn't give too much away while knowing so much about this story, but also is like maybe a warp in that time-space continuum. And then a storm hits and they can't get out of the woods, and just all the shit that you can imagine going sideways goes sideways, with the addition of supernatural baddies and folk horror elements that will like haunt you. So, I mean, can't say enough good things about that film or that book for sure.
It's one of those films that you know, the old trope of like dumb city people go into the woods, horrible things happen.
Yeah. The UK version.
Right. What it shows you though is that there's still life in that idea.
Yeah.
If you do it, if you're smart and you do it well enough.
Exactly. It's incredible storytelling. Like the book is, but also the film is in its own right, separate from the book. It's wild. But it's not a new film. Like it's like, I think the first time I saw it was on Netflix, and that was years ago.
God, like I don't remember where I saw it.
I've actually, the first time I did see it was on Netflix, and it was a while ago. So it's something they're just kind of bringing back out of their catalog, and I'm like, really? I full confession, like I quit Netflix. And I rage quit Netflix when they openly embraced transphobe Dave Chappelle, and we're like, we're gonna do all the Dave Chappelle specials, and I'm like, that man is just a horrific transphobic on fire trash can. Like, no, so much no, you do not get my money anymore, Netflix. Fuck you. So I rage quit them a while ago. But I still feel entitled to complain that they are leaving horror people out of the mix. With their utter non-selection. Though, again, I will say, like, Autopsy of Jane Doe, too. Like, if you have a Netflix sub and you want some horror and you haven't seen that one yet, definitely see it. It is so worth watching.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely compelling story about, I believe it's a father and son. Yes. It's been a while. It's a father and son who, the father runs a mortuary, and they have a very unusual body that they need to autopsy. And a storm hits and things get weirder and weirder as they attempt to autopsy this body. And it's got folk horror and historical elements to it. And also just very compelling characters that you end up really liking a lot. And want to get to the bottom of the mystery of this body with them. Like how she ended up there and what her story is, and why it keeps getting harder and harder for them to autopsy her.
And one of the actors is Brian Cox, who's a favorite of mine for years and years and years. So,
what else has he been in? Do you remember?
He was the head sort of stand-in for Rupert Murdoch in Succession. That was his biggest role recently.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
He also does a great, if you've ever seen the very first version of Hannibal Lecter on film in Manhunter.
Oh my God.
He played the first Hannibal Lecter that most people have forgotten about, and he plays him in a very different way.
Really?
Than Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, so it's a really interesting performance. He's great, and he's terrific in the movie.
Cool. I don't know if I ever saw that one, actually.
It's worth seeing. It's a Michael Mann movie, so it'll
be entertaining.
Well made. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I've got some homework to do then.
We all do. Me too. And one more thing about The Ritual as a film.
Yeah. Please.
It's back, but that means they took it away. Buy physical media. I'm going to keep saying this forever.
Yeah, seriously.
If you love a movie, you need to get physical media, because these streaming services will take them away from you, and you never know if you're going to get them back.
That's a really good point. Like, like that eclipsed my brain for some reason, that like the fact that they brought it back meant that it was unavailable, even though it's like, it's there, it's digital, and you pay for a streaming service and you're like, I want there to be this catalog of films, like, and there's nothing worse than like when I go back on like, cause I'm like a Paramount subscriber, right? And when I go back on Paramount and I'm like, oh, they pulled a bunch of stuff that I want to rewatch, or films that I saw that they had that I didn't get to watching. And I'm like, what the hell, you guys? Like, it's digital media. It doesn't need to physically be stored anywhere. Like, why can't you be the big video store where we can just go watch these things?
And that was
But
the
yeah,
promise. That was the promise when they started of like, we are your
right?
video store. We're going to have all your stuff for you. No, you're
Well,
not.
yeah, Netflix especially, which started
Yes.
out as a what? Didn't they like mail DVDs to people?
Yeah, I actually had an old DVD account with Netflix. They were a physical media company at first.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big own the thing
Yes.
person as well. As with music, with books, all of it.
Yes.
Yeah, yep. Okay, so we've gotten through some of the streaming sites. We've gotten through all of the streaming sites that were on our list, at least,
Yes.
because we did look at other streaming sites and it was as abysmal as Netflix, where it was
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of things coming out and we could give you a big long list of horror films, that are coming out on Screambox, but we really wanted to talk about highlights and ones that we like and we're interested in seeing again or seeing for the first time. So that's it for the streaming section of this. And we're going to do another streaming. We're going to be doing these what to stream on horror episodes of Raised by Horror every month. So the lineup may be different next month. So just keep that in mind. Lastly, we wanted to talk about what's coming out in theaters, which isn't a lot, but there's a couple of things, right?
I think there's some interesting stuff coming out. Yeah.
Like,
I actually think there's several. Well, on the 17th is Lee Whalen's Wolfman.
okay. Yeah.
You're not, I can hear you. I can hear reservations in your voice immediately.
Oh my God.
And honestly, I have reservations too. It's like, do we need another werewolf movie?
I know.
But I've read enough about it, and I hope to God I'm not rewriting this movie into something I want to see. Because
I do that all the time.
The premise is the family goes to their childhood, to hit the father's childhood home in rural Oregon.
Okay.
After his father vanishes. And something happens during the night. They're attacked by an animal. And they escape it, and then they barricade themselves inside the home as the creature tries to get in.
Okay.
But as that one night goes on, Blake, the father, begins to change and to transform into something. So this is the part I don't know if I'm rewriting. So again, not having seen this movie, what I'm hoping for is body horror werewolf.
Okay.
Where less about like, hey, look, I'm a big scary monster with teeth and claws, than something like The Fly, like the transformation being the story.
Yeah,
like that would be unique.
It's like the psychosocial degeneration, right? Like, because that was one of the strongest elements of The Fly was just his breakdown and his inability to his loss of grasp on his self-control. Yes. And control of his impulses as he transformed into the Fly. But it was also really shocking. Like, The Fly did such a good job with Jeff Goldblum's shocking transformation in that it was something that I remember really scared me and really, like, it still sticks with me, like how abrupt and in your face it was after a certain point.
Absolutely.
So if it's like that, if Wolfman is like that, I hope that they're able to pull it off to the same effect. What I know about it is just what I've seen in trailers, honestly. And that's because there was a trailer for it before Nosferatu. And I mean, watching Nosferatu just obliterated so many other horror films for me because for me, it was so incredible that like, I felt like I had to come down for a while afterward and nothing was good.
I agree.
Oh my God. But I did see the trailer for Wolfman and I did look into it a little bit, because they're doing a screening of it here as well. And it looks a bit like, home invasion-y too, right? Like it's got a home invasion vibe to it. Yes. But it doesn't appeal to me as much. And it's not because of the werewolf thing, because I love werewolf films. Like, I will watch a lot of bad werewolf films because I don't know why. It's just that I don't. It's the "Aroo," it's the doggy, the whole thing. Like that's not necessarily it, but there's just something about werewolf films that I find really, really fun. And really just I love seeing how the story gets retold in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like that sometimes you can hide really interesting surprises in werewolf films.
Yes.
Like I'm not going to give anything away for the not the Wolves of Snow Hollow, but Werewolves Within. Although Snow Hollow also very fun film, has a really surprising reveal in it, is also about werewolves, another favorite of mine. But yeah, I don't know. The jury's out for me on Wolfman. I'm not sure if I'm going to go see it in the theaters, but yeah, it looks like it's at least going to have some, like, I don't know, when I did see it in the theater, the trailer, it definitely had some like surprise, some like jump scare elements to it. So I think that was probably what kind of made me go, eh.
Yeah, but of course the studio would do a trailer with all the jump scares. So
this is true.
I'm hoping.
Gotta let that go.
Yep, I'm hoping the movie is bigger than that.
Yeah. Okay.
but I also want to mention, since we're on the topic of werewolves,
yes,
if you like werewolves and you want to read about them, Stephen Graham Jones has written what I consider the best werewolf novel. It's called Mongrels.
Oh my God, he's so amazing. I'm such a fan of his.
I don't want to say too much about it. It's a werewolf novel. It's a family novel. It's a novel about America. And I really recommend it. Stephen Graham Jones, Mongrels.
Okay. I have not read that one of his. I've read a bunch of his, but not that one. So that's good, because we're going to talk about books in a minute and I need new books. So
cool.
What else is coming out in theaters?
Presence on January 24th.
I am so strangely interested in that one.
Well, it's an interesting actor, Lucy Liu.
I love Lucy Liu.
Doesn't do horror. I love Lucy Liu. Directed by Steven Soderbergh, who does
I don't like Steven Soderbergh. I feel torn.
But it's written by David Kopp, or Kopp, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, who's written things like Jurassic Park, War of the Worlds, Stir of Echoes. So he's worked in the genre. So it's that combination could work.
Yeah.
So
I like that. I mean, it sounds like it's a haunted house film, and I love haunted house films, and it's got Lucy Liu, who I just love, and just, you know, she's like Luigi Mangione. She doesn't look bad in anything, right? And since we know it's Soderbergh, like, we know it's going to be a well done film, right?
Yes.
It's going to be a film, at least, that you can watch. You know, it's not going to have like unwatchable gaps or anything like that in it. So I'm interested in Presence. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
It comes out in theaters in the US on the 24th of January. And I'm not sure what the dates are in different places, but.
There's 2 more for me.
Really?
January 7th is George Romero's Resident Evil. Now, this is a theater movie, but you can also find it now on Prime and Apple. So it's technically theatrical, but you can also find it streaming at the moment.
Okay, what is this?
It is it's for Romero fans, it's for Resident Evil fans, and it's for pretty much anyone interested in how Hollywood works, where things start out really well but go quickly off track. It's documentary. It is. I'm sorry, I should have said it's a documentary. It's it's an obsessive look at Romero's beginnings from his early work, especially the zombie series of films. It also explores the history of Capcom and their horror video games, Biohazard to Resident Evil. It's full of interviews, film and video clips, plus documents and models, actual models created for the Resident Evil project.
Wow.
And one fun thing I learned watching the film is that Romero directed a commercial for the Resident Evil video game in the US.
No way.
Yep. And you can find it on YouTube.
I'm going to do that after we're done. Oh my God. I need to know because I play the games. So yes. Holy shit. That's awesome.
Apparently, part of the problem was Capcom wanted an action movie, Romero wanted a horror movie, and they could never quite get together.
Oh God, that's too bad.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
I think so.
Wow. So there's a whole documentary about it. That's cool. It sounds like they got really close to making it too.
Well, yeah, it's a very Hollywood story in that,
no.
everyone's charging forward, everyone's excited, and then suddenly they're not.
Oh God. Okay.
And you get to see it from the inside in this documentary.
Okay. All right. I will prepare myself for that. It reminds me a little of Jodorowsky's Dune. Like the documentary about that.
Sure. That's a great film.
Yeah. Like and they made like a whole book out of it too.
Which he just sold for like $3 million or something. $3 million.
Wow.
The giant book of all their drawings, all the
artwork.
All the artwork, all the basic, everything they did for his original Dune long ago. And he's had that book ever since and just sold it because, he's an old guy. He probably needs the money.
Right. Oh, and now's the time. I mean,
and now's the time.
Yeah, it's back in pop culture. So.
Yep. There's a couple of other films I think would be interesting. One is Companion, and I can't tell you a lot about it because they're deliberately keeping the plot very, very under wraps.
Yeah, I couldn't find out much about that film.
I looked around, but couldn't find it. They call it a new kind of love story, whatever that means.
Is it going to be like one of those fembots gone Megan kind of things?
There are kind of hints of that.
Okay.
I just don't know at this point. It's the thing that makes me interested is, the two stars are interesting. So, Sophie Thatcher, who was in Boogeyman, and The Heretic. Excuse me, not The Heretic. Heretic. She was Sister Barnes.
Oh yes, she's amazing.
Yeah, yep. And also Jack Quaid from The Boys and 2022 Scream.
Oh my God, I love him.
Interesting cast, and it's produced by one of the people who did Barbarian. So it's an interesting combination.
Oh my God, I loved Barbarian.
Yeah, so there's a lot of potential there. I just don't know much about it yet.
I feel like the murderous, fembot trope is just tired and
very much. Yeah. That's what
it's just it's just tired and kind of overdone, and no shame on people who like that or people who make films about it, but I'm just like I haven't seen a fresh take on that story. I just haven't.
Maybe this will be it. Maybe it's not, maybe it's not the fembots. And if it
maybe
is,
not.
Again, I trust the people who did this enough to give it a shot to see what exactly it is. Because like I said, they're really playing their cards close to their chest. So if it was something as simple as the fembot thing, I think we would have known about it, but something would have leaked.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway.
Well, I'll see it with Sophie Thatcher in it because I like her. So that works. Was there anything else coming out?
The Damned, which is January 3rd, so it's already out.
Okay.
It's a UK, Ireland, and Icelandic production, which is not something you hear about a lot.
That sounds cool already.
A ship wrecks on the coast near a remote fishing village in the 19th century. But it's an especially hard winter in the village and supplies are running low. So Odessa Young, the woman who runs the village, decides not to help the survivors.
Okay.
And that brings down rude, and that brings down calamity on the town. I don't know the details of that, but it has echoes of John Carpenter's The Fog, which to me is a plus.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Okay, that sounds cool. That's actually something to look forward to.
Yeah, I think that one would be interesting.
I also saw that coming out this month is Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Yeah, it's for you. That's not for me.
It is so not for me. No, I'm just complaining.
Okay.
I'm just like, I'm talking about it because I ain't gonna see it. Like,
Yeah.
The whole Pooniverse thing is just
Exactly.
so much nope. And I watched the first Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. I couldn't finish it, but I'm like, I don't understand why these films are being made. I kind of don't. Like, just for the sake of it, maybe? I don't know.
That's what it feels like. It's like, hey, look, we have these public domain things. We can run around with them. I mean, a Steamboat Willie horror movie. I mean, that's just the kind of thing you say when you're really high at 3 a.m. with your friends.
Totally. Yeah, these are like Coke party horror films, right?
Yep.
Where
that's
it's
what
like,
they sound like.
Yeah, man, let's make Winnie the Pooh a serial killer and make it super gross. I tried to watch it because I was just like, okay, what is this? Like, what are they even doing with this? And it was like, oh, it's torture porn. And then it's also just like, oh, it's torture porn that doesn't really have a plot. And you're just like, oh, okay, what a weird thing to make. I'm not sure why. So, but yeah, I saw that on the releasing the horror film in theaters lists this month, and I was like, the Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare, and I'm like, that's an instant nope, immediately no.
Yes, very much. Very
thank
much.
you.
Very
okay.
much.
Yeah, I knew we'd be on the same page. So yeah. Yeah, especially after, like, if the universe is going to give us Nosferatu, like, there is no way in hell I'm going to watch something like Peter Pan Neverland Nightmares.
No, it's toxic stuff for your brain. I mean,
exactly.
I think you reach a certain. I think in your 20s you can watch that stuff. This is it for me. And you get to like you hit your 30s and you start going, "Do I have time to watch trash?"
Right.
Deliberate trash. And
right.
The answer for me is no. I wanna see something of value. Again, unless of course there is room for trash in your life if you want to get a bunch of friends to come over, eat popcorn, and scream at the movie.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a trash night. But just sitting there by yourself watching a bad movie, no.
But honestly, though, like, if I'm going to get some friends over, like, era of COVID, get them over in a safe way,
right?
Where no one gets sick. Like, if that happens, like, that is not the trash film I'm going to put on.
No, that's a very good point. Good point.
I'm going to find better trash.
Yes.
Like, I've got standards for my horror trash. Like,
absolutely.
They're very rewarding standards for me personally. So
I agree.
Yeah, Peter Pan Nightmare is not one of them. All right, so I really need some new horror books. And
all right.
I've found 2 that are coming out that I don't know a lot about, but other than that, I am just in a desert of horror. I'm just really looking forward to Cold Eternity by S.A. Barnes because I've read both of her other books and they've got me on this complete space horror kick. And they're just, broken protagonists in space. And I think they embody that element of space horror that I really like, where it's very much like Alien and the Nostromo, where it's like people are in space and their lives are kind of fucked and they're just trying to do their jobs. And their lives are not great. That it's very relatable, right? It's just like things kind of suck. They're just trying to make rent, or they're on this contract or whatever. And then space horror happens. And that's kind of like my favorite way that space horror is told. And that's what S.A. Barnes did with both of her previous books. So I'm just like a junkie waiting for the 3rd one to come out. It's not even a trilogy. It's all separate stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that one, and that's coming out in April. And then also in April, When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. But that's about it. What have you got?
I have a bunch of January stuff still.
Oh my God. Give it to me.
And okay, so January 7th. This can be hard considering the world right now. It's called Wake Up and Open Your Eyes by Clay McLeod Chapman.
Okay.
And the thing that's hard about this is it's such a timely premise. Basically, demonic possession through media. Imagine if something like Fox News was a literal disease vector.
But it is. I don't have to imagine it. That's real. That's realness.
That's the hard part. All right. This is the world. And it turns people into vicious, murderous hordes.
Oh, and but come on. This is we're living this right now, dude. Like,
yeah. Well, basically imagine, 28 days later that came from Fox instead of a rage virus. And you have a group of people that have to navigate their way cross country to safety through these media Fox News lunatics.
Oh, okay. So it's basically about how to survive a road trip in America.
Essentially, but again, it starts out as a family story, but
don't they all?
Yeah. So it's a really interesting book, and again, it's
okay.
I hope it doesn't get hurt because of the subject matter and its timeliness.
Right. Right. Who's the author?
Excuse me. Clay McLeod Chapman.
Okay. I don't think I'm familiar.
He's an interesting author. Really, if you get a chance to see him read, he's a tremendous reader.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give it a chance. I don't mean to mock. I just, it's like you said, it hits a little close to home in terms of like themes, right? Like,
yeah, no, I think it would be easier to read if Trump hadn't won.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks for the author in a way, where it's like, oops, too prescient.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I have 2 more January books.
Oh, good.
One is by Grady Hendrix. It's Witchcraft for Wayward Girls.
Ooh, cool title.
It is set in 1970s Florida, and it follows several young women in an abusive home for unwed mothers.
Ooh.
Their lives are strictly controlled by the home staff, where there's really no relief for young women who've just been basically locked away for being too loose, too soiled.
Oh, dear.
Not good enough for regular society.
Okay.
But one day, one of the young women, Fern, finds a book on occult in the library. And everything changes for the better and for the worse.
Ooh, okay. This sounds fun.
Grady Hendrix is a really interesting writer. He also did How to Sell a Haunted House and The Final Girl Support Group.
Oh, cool. That's another great title. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This sounds really fun. Do you know when that one comes out?
That comes out on the 14th.
Oh, so soon. Awesome.
Very soon.
I'll pre-order it.
And
because you have to pre-order books that you like because it helps authors. Damn it.
Yes, it really does. It makes a huge difference to get
pre-order our books every chance you get, please.
Yes, please. Please. On the 28th of January is At Dark I Become Loathsome by Eric LaRocca. And he is one of my favorite current horror writers.
Really? Oh, cool.
Bram Stoker Award nominated and a Splatterpunk Award winner. I'm not thrilled with the term splatterpunk. I mean, for me, it's just another term for body horror. But but I think splatter sounds a little too silly for me. But
it does.
But if they ever want to give me an award, I'm up. I'll take back everything I just said. Absolutely.
Oh my God! Yes.
All I know about the book, again, I tried to get a copy of this. They were supposed to send it to me. I never got it.
Okay.
So what the book is about is it's a man named Ashley Luton who he's not on the edge of suicide. He has developed a ritual that has helped him stay alive through the years since his wife died and his young son disappeared. So he doesn't want to die. He wants to help others get there. So he's constructed a peculiar ritual for people whose desire is at war with their yearning for a better life. So he comes into contact with Jinx, a potential candidate for his next ritual. And the story, from everything I've heard from Eric and from others, is it develops into this really obsessive relationship between the two men that becomes a series of painful revelations, and buried secrets get dragged out during this thing. And again, LaRocca is someone who could really pull off. It's a very simple idea, but LaRocca is a unflinching writer who and uncompromising. He can really pull off something both physically and emotionally brutal.
Oh my God, I need to read this.
You might also like his other book, Things Have Gotten Worse Since Last We Spoke. He has great titles.
Yeah, that's a fantastic title. And I feel like I've seen the cover, like while I've been like cruising around looking for books, but I haven't like looked into it. But I really need that kind of just super crunchy literary horror. Like that's what really inspires me as a writer. That really is, that takes me to the place where I go, oh, I want to write again. I want to write now, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it sounds like this would do that for me. I'm into it.
Cool. Like I said, the books are hard to talk about, having not read the things, but I know, and I trust everybody I've mentioned tonight. I trust Eric LaRocca, Grady Hendrix, excuse me, Clay McLeod, Chapman. I trust all these authors, and I recommend each and every one of them to you.
Awesome. Yeah, I recommend S.A. Barnes completely. I'm not as familiar with Nat Cassidy, When the Wolf Comes Home, but the premise sounded really interesting, where a woman finds a runaway hiding from an abusive parent, and then has a conflict with that parent. And then the two of them go on the run and are pursued. But what becomes less clear is because basically a trail of atrocities follow in their wake. And it becomes less clear what they're being pursued by as the story goes on. And that just sounded like such a unique and interesting premise to me that I'm definitely gonna pre-order it and check it out. So, but those don't come out until April. Yours are in January, so I can get some slightly more instant satisfaction.
Yes,
with your recommendations.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's about it, right?
That's all I have.
That's all we got. All right. And in our next episode, we want to talk about Nosferatu, right?
Absolutely. I love that movie.
No. We, dear listeners and kind readers, we wanted to wait until hopefully you've seen the film, because we understand what it's like to want to listen to our show, but also to not want spoilers, because we are very spoiler averse. Which is why we also wanted to do this episode too, because it's a no spoiler episode. But yeah, so hopefully if you don't get a chance to see Nosferatu before the next episode, please try, so that you can enjoy our marinating in the disgusting juices of Nosferatu for your pleasure. On that delicious note, thank you for joining us on Raised by Horror. Until our next episode, you can find us on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and raisedbyhorror.com. Look for Richard Kadri at richardkadri.me, Violet Blue at violetblue.com, and all the usual social sites. Thanks, everyone!